well, that's one of the areas where I wish I put forth a little bit more effort, because it is a very, very, very big component of overall wellness. So there are certain things that I've written out here, which are like your Achilles heel, right? It's like your kryptonite, if you would, which will keep you from being your absolute best. Those things are disease, stress, sedentary lifestyles, injuries, and vitamin and mineral deficiencies. And almost everything you can think of that will keep you from working out is somehow associated to one of these 5 things. So I'm going to break them down a little bit further. Disease. Can you imagine that we are living in an age where we can talk to other people, video, from a cell phone, yet heart disease is still the #1 killer? Like, did you hear that? Heart disease is still the #1 killer. More men than women have heart attacks every year, but more women than men die of heart disease every single year. Is that not scary? That's not a scary statistic? Because it means that somebody in here, in this room, statistically speaking, has very, very high risk factors for being one of those casualties. That doesn't make any sense to me. I walk down the road and I see people, I'm that guy, I am that guy. I see people smoking and I'm like, yo, that's not cool. And it really isn't. And you know what, maybe I'm the only guy that says it. I'll see kids walking by and they're like, you know, they got their swagger on, they think they're really cool. That isn't cool. And maybe somebody needs to say that to them. Maybe somebody needs to say, you're already cool. You don't need to be smoking. You don't need to do that kind of stuff. It's funny because I was riding bike with one of my clients, and we decided to ride from the city into Brooklyn because we had gotten some new bikes. And we're riding over the Brooklyn Bridge, and people are walking by us, and all of a sudden like, oh, is that? Oh, he's not riding a bike. He rides a Maybach. This is, by the way, this is Jay-Z. So I'm riding and I'm laughing to myself because people are, they look and they're like, no way, so they're not even bothering with it. We go over the bridge and he knows how I am, right? So as soon as we get to the other side of the bridge, we have to stop at a light, and there's 2 kids that are smoking a cigarette. And these 2 kids are like, and the first thing that hit his mouth is, yo, man, that's not cool. And they're like, I bet you they never smoke again. I wish I had that impact. Alright, at least I got that one out of him. Cancer, stroke, diabetes. 1 out of every 4 people will develop diabetes. Does that sound normal to you? And out of one of those, every 4, 1 of those will develop heart disease associated to that diabetes. It's just crazy. The numbers, the statistics are just mind-boggling to me. So that's disease. If disease wasn't enough, we have stress right behind it, right? Stress is debilitating. Stress builds up cortisol levels in the body, which don't allow you to sleep, which hold on to fat. And you see how sometimes you see people that work out, they work out, they work out, they work out, nothing ever happens. Part of it is because they're not eating right. But another part of it is because they're so overweight that their cortisol levels have gone up so high that they don't sleep well. And guess what happens when you sleep? You go into REM, and when you're in REM, you release growth hormone. What do you think growth hormone does? It's a youth hormone. It's what keeps us young. So you see these people that are overweight, they're stressed out, they're not sleeping well, and they're holding on to a ton of cortisol. So what happens is, it makes it that much more difficult for them to lose the weight. And it's like a chicken and egg kind of thing, because it's like the cortisol levels won't go down until they lose the weight, but they can't really lose the weight until the cortisol levels go down. And it really sucks, because you see them, they're struggling, and their efforts don't pay off. And it's not until a long while later that they realize that it's an overall approach that is not just about working out at the gym. It's about working out, it's about eating right, it's about managing your stress, it's about sleeping right. And when all of these components start to come together, then change starts to come about. You like the little tip there about research has shown. Keep your spouse happy, you'll live a lot longer. Alright, sedentary lifestyle. Same thing. Every single day. A lot of people, how many people here in the morning say, I'm going to work out, I'm going to work out, I'm going to work out, and the day gets the best of you, and you don't How many times has that happened to you? Has that happened to anyone in here? Raise your hand if it's happened to you. The majority of you. We're on fitness crews, by the way. So you guys are like the outliers, right? But it happens. You have to make the time for it. The time is not going to come to you. You're not going to just be sitting at home going, I wonder what I can do now. Hey, let's go work out. What a novel idea. That just doesn't happen. Okay? Well, people tell me, well, I don't have time to work out. I say, well, do you brush your teeth in the morning? I said, of course I brush my teeth. Do you shower? Those are things that you just know, right? You were taught as a kid you had to do. You gotta bathe, you gotta brush your teeth, you gotta comb your hair. I don't comb my hair, but you gotta comb your hair. There's certain things that you have to do. And this is one of those things that you have to make a part of your life. Because if you don't make it a part of your life, it's not going to just serendipitously appear and say, hey, let's go work out. I mean, unless maybe I'm in the neighborhood and I knock on your door and I'm like, hey, let's do this. But it's not just going to happen, so you really have to make a very proactive effort to make sure it is a part of your life. It has to be a part of your life forever. Injuries. So what happens, we wind up becoming that weekend warrior, right? We don't do anything throughout the week, and then Saturday comes, and you want to become Rambo. How many of you know somebody like that, right? And then Rambo comes home, oh my God, I shouldn't have done that. Well, what happens is as we get older, we lose range of motion. And that the less active we are, the more sedentary lifestyle you live, the less range of motion you will have. So it's like, the less you move, the less you want to move. The more you move, the more you want to move. How many times has it happened, like, your back hurts, right? Anyone here ever suffer from back pain? And you think to yourself, I'm going to lay in bed. It's going to get better. How much worse does it get? A lot worse, right? By the way, back pain is probably the single most used excuse on the planet for missing work, right? And it's, a lot of times it's not really an excuse, but people just they develop acute injuries because they don't know how to take care of it, because they do just what? I'm going to rest. Your back hurts, get your ass out the door and go work out. It sounds crazy, right? It's not. What happens is these muscles are very, very small. Very, very small. And what happens is you wind up sitting at a desk, right? This is the extended position of the leg, right? Because the leg doesn't go any further this way. So if the leg was flexed, it'd be like this. Isn't this the seated position? So you're seated for 8 hours a day, then you jump in your car, and you drive home for another X number of minutes. You spend the bulk of your day like this. Then you get home and you stand up and you're like, oh! And you want to stay there. Why? Because your legs are extended, and most of the day your legs were cooling in this position. And when you stretch them out, these muscles are going to pull. This is not going to strain. These muscles are the most powerful muscles in the body, followed by these. They're going to pull on these tiny muscles, and that's how back pain comes about. So the more you move, the more you're going to want to move, and the more you move, the better range of motion you're going to have. The better range of motion you're going to have, the fewer risk of injury you're going to be subjected to.